Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. I don't know if anybody will join me or not, but this video, I'm doing it live for a reason. There has been so much controversy with the James Charles palette, whether or not the swatches were done incorrectly, whether or not people are having problems with the pigmentation staining the skin or allergic reactions to it, that kind of thing. So I thought, what better way to do a swatch video than to do it live? That way you guys can see firsthand what is gonna happen with the swatches. You'll get to see everything as I'm doing it. There will be no jumps, no cuts, no edits, no nothing. It is as you see it. I'm gonna be using the little microfiber makeup remover cloth from Always Off. I'm just gonna get that wet in the sink. I do own the Jaclyn Hill palette. I have used the purple and the blue shades and the turquoise shades. I have used those shades from that palette, and I have never once had staining issues with it. I do own loose red pigments myself. I have pressed pigments and loose pigments that I've never really had a problem with them being difficult to get off. But just in case, I do have my Sephora. This is the Supreme Cleansing Oil. I have that just in case I need it to get swatches off. And I did pull my Jaclyn Hill palette out because, like I said, I have used the shades down here in the bottom with no problem. I actually used the palette yesterday in a randomly generated makeup look kind of thing from random.org. I ordered the palette, an empty palette, and some singles and 2 brushes from Morphe the day that the James Charles palette launched. One of the brushes didn't arrive in the box. The box was damaged, but everything else was in there, so I'm thinking it was just accidentally left out. So I did contact Morphe on Twitter with no reply, so I was like, you know what, let me shoot him an email. I shot him an email. Within an hour I had a reply saying, so sorry about that, and they have I've already been emailed to let me know that another one's on the way, and I even have tracking for it. So I did get the brush, the M560. It's still in its plastic. And then the M433 brush that I ordered didn't arrive. I did pick up, let's see, 2, 4, 6 eyeshadow singles and the large magnetic palette, as well as the James Charles palette. So here is my shipping thing from Morphe. I did go ahead and unsleeve. This is the sleeve that the magnetic palette comes in. And this is the magnetic palette. And I did go ahead and put my shadows in here. I need like 1 more of these because I still have 2 of these with eyeshadows in them. Like, these are basically blushes, some bronzer samples, some highlight and face powders, and then the rest of my eyeshadows are in here. So I have that. But the shades that I got from Morphe are this one, these 3, and this one right here. So I was pleasantly surprised that I thought this shade was a duplicate for one in the palette. There are 2 shades similar to it in the palette, but it's not the exact same shade. And then these colors match very well with the shades in the palette. And this is like the shimmer form of one of the shades in the James Charles palette. So I was pleasantly surprised at how those came off. I thought this was a straight yellow shade instead of being gold, but it is what it is. So I'm gonna get that out of the way. So now to get into the James Charles palette. A lot of controversy has gone on with this, and it does clearly say on the back about the pigments, and it even has the names of all the pigments on here. And it has, I know it's kind of blurry, but it does say all the shade names that are pigments on here. So I have opened this already. I've looked at it to make sure it wasn't broken because, like I said, my box arrived, it was damaged. Looked like somebody had literally taken the box and like dropped it and kicked it while they were doing it. You know, the whole drop kick thing. I don't know if kids these days know that terminology or not. So it comes in a nice bubble sleeve, and it is, I'll just put its condom back on. So inside the box, there is plenty of room, and then it comes in this. It is sealed on 3 of the 4 sides, so it makes it a little bit more safer for your palette. And then this is it. And I'm sorry, but that does not say Charles on it. It says Chaneo. That does not say Charles. But that's just my observation. You know, usually an L has a little bit more elongation to it than his signature there. And I've seen other pictures of his signature where the L is more elongated. But in this instance, for the palette, for whatever reason, it wasn't. I don't know if that was something that somebody missed or what, but it definitely doesn't read Charles to me. Now, inside the palette, it does have like some information back here. It doesn't say anything about it being like vegan or cruelty-free on that. Because a lot of people were saying that it was vegan and cruelty-free. And I'm not seeing anything on the box that says that either. So if this is vegan or cruelty-free, it doesn't say it doesn't even say it on the front. So for those that were going off on Twitter, well, this is a vegan palette, you know, you should expect, you know, vegan and cruelty-free products to stain because they use pigments instead of animal byproducts. Okay, well, it doesn't say it there. It doesn't say it here. And you can't even look at this palette on the website. You can't pull it up and look at pictures. You can pull it up and it says, you know, do you want to sign up for the wait list or to be informed when it's back in stock? It doesn't give you the option to look at the information. So on the inside, all it says is unleash your inner artist. And then you have your nice little plastic sheet. What I have done, and I will stick this on here so you can see it, is underneath the shades that are the pressed pigments, I went through with a red Sharpie and wrote PP next to or underneath all the shade names. So I know which shades are pressed pigments or not. And I do keep these. I know a lot of people get annoyed with them, but I do that for a specific reason. I like to know what names are for the shades. So I take it, you figure if it's like this on the palette with the shades, all I do is slide it up to the top so that when I'm using it, I can look and see, okay, well, this is the shade here and this is the shade here. So the color names line up with the palette. And then when I close it, it closes down over it. Yes, of course, it's going to be upside down when you close it, but you literally just pop it back up into the top and you've got all of your shade names here. So you don't have to worry about wondering what color you're using, or if you're trying to follow a tutorial, all of your shade names are here. And against the back, the white lettering on here makes it a little bit easier to see, and the red does stand out enough for me to see the PP that I put for the pressed pigment. So this was a lot of colors. I wore a cap sleeve shirt on purpose, so I have arms that I can swatch them on. I am going to tie my hair back with my Invisibobble. But before I get into any of the swatches, this has also been part of the controversy, is I don't have a MAC paint pot. I have a BH Cosmetics eyeshadow base. I have the Urban Decay primer potion, and then I've got concealers. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of each, and this stuff is like starting to dry out. And I'm going to put some on the back of my hand and work it in like I would on my eyelid. And I'm going to do 4 different swatches on my hand. So that way I can see, and I have bad allergies, really bad allergies. So I want to see, because I don't have the MAC paint pot, I want to see a couple of things. One, I want to see if I'm going to have an allergic reaction to it. Normally, if I do a patch test, I would do it on the inside of my elbow or behind my ear. But I wanted something that I could visually look at. The other thing is I'm going to use this Tarte Shape Tape, and then I'll do a swatch on my hand without it. I want to see if the color stains. And I figured a lot of people are going to have the Urban Decay Primer Potion or the Tarte Shape Tape. For once in my life, I didn't say Shark Shape Tape. Okay, so I've got the BH Cosmetics one here, the Urban Decay one here, and the Shape Tape down here, and then there's nothing here. And I'm going to degunk my fingers. That's another reason why these little claws are so handy, is, you know, you can just wipe stuff off as you go. And I was debating on whether or not to do a finger swatch on my hand or a brush swatch, because you figure you're going to be applying these to your eyes with a brush. So I kind of narrowed it down to using a brush in order to get the pigment on. This is just a regular natural hair brush. I'm going to go into that Skip shade. Got a drop of water on my palette. Go away. So I'm going to go into this. And there's very little, maybe it's too bright in here for once. There's a little bit of kick up in there, but I coated the brush. So I'm just going to apply the shade, drop of water on my hand, over each of the 4 quadrants on my hand where I put the primer, the 4 different shades of primer. Or the things I would normally use for a primer. And I'm making sure to kind of like go in, and then this again is the side with nothing on it. And I am rubbing that into the skin because I want to see, you know, you're going to be blending this onto the eye. When you put it on, you're not just going to like tap the color on, you are going to be working it out. So I made sure to like blend as much of the color as possible. And it's funny, on the Tarte Shape Tape, it's like the most vibrant out of all of them. And I made sure that they were all dry before I put anything on. So something else to note. All right, so I take my little J-Cat color switch thing, clean the brush off. Because I will be doing a look later for this, but I won't be doing it live. This is just for swatches and a stain/allergy test. Okay, so now that we've got the big Mamba Jamba out of the way, I'm going to just leave this sit on the counter while I swatch because it's huge and I kind of need both hands. I mean, I could do this. Let me try that because the palette doesn't go anywhere else. We'll see how technical I can get here. Oh, that one feels rough. And that's the shade there that looks very similar. That one and this one look very similar to the extra shades that I bought. So this is the first shade. This would be Canvas, Ring Light, So Good, and 518. And 518 is considered a pressed pigment, and that's the orange. So you have Canvas, Ring Light, So Good, and that one is 518. And I'm gonna run my pinky back over that way you can see. And now to decolor the fingers. Let me grab a dry towel. That way my fingers are not damp in between wiping it off. Okay, Now on to the next. Okay, so then we have Rusted Halloween Wig and Tee. So Rusted Halloween, which is a beautiful like copper color, wig and tee. And for being matte shades, these shimmers are gorgeous, gorgeous. And I didn't pick up anything else. I'm still using the color on my fingers. Now, Rusted, which is this shade here, is also a pressed pigment. So both of these colors are pressed pigments. So let me add to my color collection here. I bet you this is going to be really pretty when I get done with it. Getting all the colors off. That brown color likes me. I guess tea is staying for a while. Nope, it finally came off. Just had to work with it. I don't know if people feed into the whole controversy thing on this. I really don't care. I don't really watch James Charles anymore, but the colors were just so beautiful. I couldn't help myself. Okay, so the next four are Punch Me, Sister, Mary, which is also a pressed pigment, which is this one here, and Literally. So you got Punch Me, Sister, Mary, and Literally. I don't like a messy palette. So again, we have Punch Me, Sister, Mary, and Literally. Those, either I didn't pick up enough product when I swirled. That color looks like Sissy from the Jaclyn Hill palette right there. And since I have that on my finger, I'm going to grab Literally again really quick. I'll put it right here on my hand. Okay, let me grab the Jaclyn Hill palette. I want to see how close those two shades are. Got a dupe maybe already. Okay, so in the Jaclyn Hill palette, you have Faint, Sissy, and Little Lady. But I'm thinking I'll grab all three. So here's Sissy, Faint, and I'm running out of room. Little Lady. I don't know, that color is like really close. The Literally shade from the James Charles palette is very close to Little Lady. Very close. All right, let me decolor again. That's interesting. That's what I was that's one reason why I have the Jaclyn Hill palette out. I did put it away after using it yesterday, but I wanted to see how many of these shades were like crossover colors. And so far, that's the first one that I've seen that could be considered, okay, maybe two. This shade right here, which won't show up on me very well, it's called Sister. Looks like either Beam or in Light, or like a combination of both, maybe a little bit lighter. It even could be pulled off with Obsessed. So those are very similar. And if you guys want to see like comparisons of the shades from the Jaclyn Hill palette versus the James Charles palette, I will be more than happy to do like, okay, well this one is in this palette and it looks very similar to this one, that kind of thing. All right, so now on to You're Kidding, Shook, Boutique, and Benny, and three of these are pressed pigments. So we have You're Kidding. And again, I'm like messing up the palette here. I don't like that. That one almost looks black, even though I know it's supposed to be purple. Okay, so we have You're Kidding, which is supposed to be the super pigmented red that he was like warning everybody about. Shook. And that is a really pretty, like, true red color. And then we've got Boutique, which is also another pressed pigment. And then Benny, which is also another pressed pigment. Oh, that one didn't swatch too pretty. I've even got it on my hand. Yeah. Okay, just blowing off my arm, I ended up blowing glitter into the palette from one of the other shades. I think it's the second shade that I just blew glitter off of. Oh, I accidentally folded my arm and the swatch is transferred up here. Let me fix that. I need that space. I need that for another color. Stay in your lane. Okay, so those are the first two rows. Let me zoom you guys in. But again, this first shade you're not going to be able to see. It's basically my skin color, and then this one's kind of hard to see as well. Let me turn my light back on. Oh, now you can see it right there. See, it's actually there, I swear. I did swatch it. And the other one is right here. It's just very faint. This brown didn't swatch very well. This reminds me of Pooter from the Jaclyn Hill palette. And then this deeper shade here is like kind of all sorts of patchy. So that's the first two rows. Gosh darn it, I did it again. I'm gonna... Don't bend your arm. I'm gonna dry it off again. No bending. I'm trying not to bend my arm so I don't get the swatches everywhere. Okay. I had to prop myself up on the counter. The next one is called Flashback, Face, Tune, and Code James. And I'm not a fan of this color. That's not something that I find attractive. Okay, so we have Flashback, which is kind of chalky. Face, which is gorgeous. Tune, and Code James. Now, Tune is supposed to be a pressed pigment as well. That's just like, let me move the light a minute. That's just like buttercup yellow color. Oh, I got some orange spread edge. There they are, a little bit better. And it almost looks like I have rust on my finger and it's on my, here, I'll show you what I did. I'm like propped up on the counter. You can even see, there's like, see the pigment on my pants? You can actually see the eyeshadow that got on my pants. So, thankfully I am not worried about, now I'm wearing black, so I mean, I'm not super worried about staining or anything like that on my clothes. Hence the reason why I'm wearing dark colors. Okay, well, let me dry my fingers off. Now onto the last of the middle row, which is 10% off No Beans and Spooky. So we have 10% off and No Beans and Spooky. Now, No Beans and Spooky, I would want to go over again, just for the simple fact, I'll even go over the first one again. It is a little patchy in how it's coming across. Let me like zoom you guys in. See how like you can see the initial like finger mark, and then when I go to drag it out, it is a little bit less dark, especially with like this shade right here. It's definitely something that you would want to like build up color wise. But there's all of the middle, that middle row right here. So you have that first shade that's supposed to be white that again kind of like disappears on my skin. The highlight shade again disappears on my skin, that buttercup yellow. And I have a lot of yellow on my skin, so that kind of, I know, I have another one. That's why I did this, so that I have multiple arms, but that black does not want to go anywhere. It likes my finger. It says it wants to stay. So it was saying hi, it was hanging out. I was able to get it off, and there's only water on this, so that's it, water. Now for the other arm, because there's 3 rows right there. And you figure this palette has what, 30 something shades in it? Oh crap, I forgot how many shades are in this. It doesn't even say on here. $39. There's 39 colors here. Okay. So let's see if I can do this with my other hand, even though, and my fingers are all clean and dry. So then we have B, which is also a pressed pigment, Guac, Hello, and Playground. And this Playground shade, I actually got a shimmer shade from Morphe with my order that looks very similar to that. And because I'm this direction, I'm going to start here. Oh, I guess I need to pick up the palette again. Okay, so we have B, Guac, Hello, and Playground. And I'm not going to pick up any more color. I'm just going to go back over those swatches again. I have like a spot right here in the center of my arm where the yellow, it's like here and here, and like the center is going, nope, don't want color. Guac, I don't even have to touch again. That's beautiful. Same thing with Hello. Playground is a little patchy at the top. But it looks like it blends out beautifully. So I'm not worried about those. And anyways, I mean, with eyeshadows, you're going to be, I don't know. To be honest, I watched his video at 2x speed just so I could see the colors. I didn't want to listen to him ramble. So I don't know. All of these shade names have something to do with James Charles, whether it is a friend, a family member, a place, a memory, something like that. So all of the colors from this palette, the names have something to do in relationship to him. So you would probably, I'll have to link James Charles' announcement video below, because I don't know. I honestly, I was about ready to sister scream listening to his video. So the whole sister shtick that he's got, don't get me started. If my 18-year-old daughter did some of the stuff that he did, like with how they speak and that kind of stuff, I would not only send her to her room with a dictionary to learn a few words besides some of the new terminology that these kids are using, but I might just have to bonk her in the head a few times, because some of the sayings that these people have picked up from like the RuPaul's Drag Race, or some of these new words that they've come out with. Like a few years back, the word ratchet was real big, or calling people boo, and boo actually means, you know, like a pile of crap or something like that. And everybody's like, well, my boo this and my boo that. I'm like, oh, your pile of crap? Okay, great. So I don't know. It goes over my head. I guess I'm too old for that. And yes, I'm drinking coffee. I'm sister silly. No, I think that's sister stupid. Okay, so the next four are Brother, Artistry, Love That, and Pinkity Drinkity. Yeah, right? And all four of these shades are supposed to be pressed pigments, even though this one's a shimmer. So the pink drink one, I know has a reference to, I guess there's like some pink drink at Starbucks, but I haven't been to Starbucks in a while. And I don't get frappe, latte, whatever, cappy, soy, whatever crap that stuff is that people drink. I like my coffee with cream and sugar, and I like the hazelnut flavoring, and that's as fancy as I get with my coffee. I do like the caramel macchiatos, the iced caramel macchiatos at Starbucks, but those suckers are like $8. So I make 12 cups of coffee at the house, and Dad and I drink that in like a day or two. No big. And buying a thing of Folgers coffee is so much cheaper. I digress. Okay, so we have Brother, Artistry, Love That, and Pinkity Drinkity. Oh, Pinkity Drinkity is like a Pepto-Bismol pink. Oh, I just colored my finger. Oops. Okay, so we have, make sure you can see, Brother, Artistry. Oh, that's gorgeous. It's like pink and purple glitter in there. Oh, I'm gonna love that. Love That is next. And Pinkity Drinkity, which again is like a Pepto-Bismol pink. I'm gonna be bad and I'm gonna pick up a little bit more, and I'm gonna zoom you guys in, because there's like, you can kind of see it, but all it literally is where I put my pinky down. Nothing else ran down my arm. So I'm gonna grab that and just drag it. Again, it's so fair. Like it matches my skin tone perfectly. This shimmer here, beautiful. The blue shade, I picked up a little bit more. Again, that's a color. Yeah, this color here, oh my gosh, I don't even know if you guys can see that on my finger. Now, I'm not trying to flip anybody off, I promise. But like, can you see the glitter on my finger? And it has this real fine, like light pink and lavender glitter in it. It's freaking gorgeous. Sorry. I'm just a bit. I know it's blurry, and here, let me flip the camera around. Flip around. Okay. Can you see it now? Isn't that pretty? It doesn't want to it wants to focus on the glitter on the back of my nails. But anyways, let me flip you back around and zoom you back out. But yeah, that color is gorgeous. And I feel like I have to sneeze. If I do, I apologize. And there's the nail color that you see. There's the color that I got on my finger. decorating things. I'm really good at that. But the color comes off rather easily. So I'm not having any like staining issue like that girl had. Hence the reason why I've got 4 different swatches on my hand, trying 4 different things. Just because I want to see, like I touched, like when I did my skincare and stuff earlier, I like accidentally bumped my chest with one of my fingers when I went like this on my face. So I've got this like red mark here on my skin just from me washing my face. So like if I like do anything like this on my skin, like you can actually see the finger imprints on my skin from me just now granted my capillary refill is working, so it comes back a little bit faster, but like now you can see my forehead's all red just for me touching my face. So I have very sensitive skin, very sensitive. Okay, last row. Hopefully I have enough arm left. Let's see if I can prop this up on my knee. Nope, too low. Okay, so the next 4 colors are Social Blade, Daddy, Cape Cod, and Cola. And Cola is supposed to be a pressed pigment. So I did get several green shades in the singles, and I will show you guys those in just a little bit in comparison to these once I get them all swatched. And I'm also leaving these on my arms while I'm doing this so that I can see how hard it is to get it off. And just bending my elbow, I still have transfer. Okay, so last row. We have Social Blade, Daddy, Cape Cod, and Cola. Social Blade, Daddy, Cape Cod, and Cola. I'm gonna put that down for a minute. All right, not picking up any more colors. I'll zoom you in. This one I really don't even have to mess with. That one came out like perfect. The shimmer, again, gorgeous. Don't even have to mess with it. Cola, I would say you need to like work with a little bit in order to get it to build up and blend out. It goes on nice and blends out easily. As you can see, the edges blended really beautifully, but it's not as pigment. Daddy is kind of like an army green. It's got a little bit more like richness to it than a standard like camo green. This is gorgeous though. This color here, this green, that is Cape Cod. And when I think of Cape Cod, I think of like reds and blues and whites and yellows. I don't think of this green, that green shimmer shade. And once I get them all swatched, I will like flip the camera around and like zoom in on all of the various colors. And just because that's annoying me, I'm gonna go right back into the crook of my arm where that one shade was that T? Benny, my bad, Benny. Keeps like transferring. Okay, 4 shades left. 4 shades left. So far, I am like super pleasantly surprised. Now, not that I expected the shadows to be crap, but I was just... Okay, so we have Acapella, Escape, which is a pressed pigment, Single, again, pressed pigment, and Snap, which is what is all over my hand, which again is a pressed pigment. So we have Acapella, Escape, Single, and Skip. Trying to get it so I can hold it and swatch it so you can see it. Okay, so we have Acapella, that was kind of crooked because I moved. We have Escape, Single, and this is what's on my hand, Skip. All right, because holding that palette and doing the swatches is difficult, let me rearrange you guys so you're more in line. Oh, there you go. Hello. Okay, so just taking what's left on my finger. This is really pretty. It's like a satiny shade. Doesn't look quite like a shimmer, but it is kind of iridescent shade, so I would say that's more like a satin. Then you have this purple, which I think needs some help. Like, you would definitely have to build that up and work with it. Then you have the pink shade. Well, it's kind of like a purplish pink. And then we have what's on the back of my hand. This is the color that was causing so much controversy, whether it was staining the lids or causing allergic reactions. This one here, that pink is like a superstar shade. Like some of these shades are just phenomenal when it comes to pigmentation. that yellow color B almost looks like I have like a recovering bruise on my arm, especially with the darker, that green shade next to it. It's kind of like somehow or another I got whacked in the arm, and I don't know. And you can see part of my ring light now that I've moved you. Okay, let me get the colors. And these are like wiping off my fingers like super easy. Before I move into like comparing the colors that I bought to what's in the palette. Hi. I'm sorry, I am like super in love with that purple shade. Artistry, amazing. All right, let me take you guys down. Say hello to my hand. Let me flip you around. Let's see, how can I do this? Okay, so these are all, and you can barely see that first shade. Let me rearrange the light again. Now we got some light. That very first shade next to my wrist. Talk to the hand. Yeah, right. No, check out the beautiful color on my nails that my friend Michael picked out. I think he did a good job. I did stub my thumb a few times and mess up the end of it, but that's not his fault. That's mine. Okay, so we've got that very first like bone shade that's kind of like a cream with a hint of yellow. And then let me see if I can rearrange this so that I can kind of half show without, let me actually put my butt on the counter and try and rearrange this. Okay. So we have canvas, which is first, and then the shimmer shade, which is next to it, which is ring light. Oh, that works. Hello. I didn't realize I had you guys zoomed in. I'm having brunette moments with blonde streaks, you know, the natural ones that grow in when you're old. So we have that very first one. You can barely see it on my wrist, but it's there. Then you have ring light, So Good, 518, which is a pressed pigment. I think it's swatched really well for being the color that it is and for being a pressed pigment. Then you have Rusted, which is also a pressed pigment. The next one, which is this beautiful copper shade. Look at that. That's freaking gorgeous. Hello, don't you run off on me. Where are you going? You can run off later. I need you to stay. So we're at this one right here. Then we have a gold shade, which is Halloween. Then we have Wig. Oh no, wait, my bad. We have Rusted. Then Halloween, which is the copper shade. Help if I could read, you know. Then Wig is that gold. And then Tea is the last one. Then we have the next row. And this brown would definitely need some work. You need to like seriously be patient with it. I think it looks just like Pooter from the Jaclyn Hill palette. But you have Punch Me, which I'd like to a few people occasionally. Then we have Sister, which is that beautiful like light champagne-y, it's like a pink hued champagne color shimmer. The next one is called Mary. It's kind of like a brick reddish color. That's a pressed pigment. The next one that looks just like the little lady from the Jaclyn Hill palette, that is Literally. The next one is You're Kidding, which is that beautiful like cherry red color. That is a pressed pigment. Then we have Shook, which in the pan it looks kind of cranberry, but on my arm it looks more bronze. The next color is Boutique, which is again a pressed pigment, and then Benny is next to it. It's like a brownish shade, kind of like an ebony. I don't know, it's almost like a dark espresso brown. Then we get into all the shades up here on my arm. Let me zoom you out even more because I'm not going to be able to. I don't have enough arm. I need somebody else. So the shades in order. I know. Actually, you know you can. You just take this thing called a hammer and you thump them a few times with it. That's perfect for fixing stupid. Okay, so we have Flashback, Face, Tune, Code James, 10% off, No Beans, and Spooky. So right in the crease of my arm, which you can't really see because it's white. Let me, hell, I don't know how I'm going to do this. You can't even see it on my skin. It's like, oh, I'm sorry. They're yelling at me for moving the camera wrong. Let me try putting you back up on this, but flipping you around. I won't be able to see chat for a minute, so just be warned. But I will be able to see. Okay. See those beautiful blonde streaks going in? Those are so natural. I didn't have to pay a dime for them other than some aggravation in a few years. Okay, so let me get up on the counter. I'm doing aerobics in the bathroom on the counter. Gotta get your exercise somehow. The white shade that was right here is like, you can't see it. Let me grab it with my finger. I mean, I can barely see that, and I'm like 6 inches from it. So this is supposed to be that white. This is Flashback. Let me move this so I can read the. So we have Flashback, Face, Tune, which is like a buttercup yellow, and let me see if I can zoom you in a little more. And let me flip that light off. There you go, you can kind of see it. Okay, so Flashback, Face, Tune, which is this shade here. This one here is having fun. It's like mingling with the next shade over. This is Code James. He wants to get some tune going on. Then we have 10% off, No Beans, and Spooky. And because of the lights, it's like some of these, even like zooming in on them, you can like barely, like the white shade, you can barely see it just because of the color of my skin. And I'm sorry about that. I'm just a pasty white girl. Let me take you back off. This might be easier to set it there. Oh, you want to yell at me again? Okay, because I did this a little different orientation-wise, this should work. And I need the light back on. Okay, so the very first shade on my arm is B, which is a pressed pigment. The next shade is Guac. Oh, look, I got some transfer up here. Oh. So there's actually some color transfer up here on my arm. No big deal. It'll wash off its makeup. The next one is that really pretty pastel blue shade called Hello. Then you have Playground, which is like a turquoisey blue. Then you have the shade next to it, which is Brother, which is this like it's a blue, it's like a purple base blue. And then you have the color I'm in love with, which is Artistry. And just to be a pain, I'm gonna like zoom in on that bad boy. I think that's as close as I can get the camera to go without fuzzing out. That, I'm sorry, but that's just gorgeous. You can see all the little hairs on my arm. Is that not shade not pretty? Sorry, I'm like geeking out over a purple here. Okay, so then we have Artistry. Can you see the glitter in it, Michael? Can you see that the pink and purple glitter now that it's this close? Okay, so the next shade, oh, and all four of these shades, Brother, Artistry, Love That, and Pinkety Drinkety, are all four minus the green that's in the frame are all considered pressed pigments. So then you've got Love That, which is right there next to Artistry. And then Pinkety Drinkety is like that Pepto-Bismol pink, which is like barely showing up on my skin. And I'm close. Like the camera is like 4 inches away from my arm just to try and get that color to pick up, if I say so. You don't think that's Pepto-Bismol pink? Or you don't think the shade's pretty? Which one? Yeah, that one shade is like super pale. But I mean, again, I'm a pasty white girl, so works for me. I think it would look a little ashy on somebody that's darker than me. You know, somebody that has a nicer, richer, much richer or darker skin tone than me. I think that might look a little like powdery, that kind of thing. So then we have that like lime green looking shade, which is called Social Blade. Then we have the green that Michael thinks is like camo, which is Daddy. Then we have Cape Cod, which reminds me almost of Lounge from Urban Decay. Then we have Cola, which I guess he's a Pepsi fan, which I am too. I'm a Pepsi girl, not a Coke. And that is pretty much the Pepsi Blue. Kind of swatches purple though. Then you have Acapella, which is that blue shimmer. The next one is Escape, which is that one right there. It's kind of like got a little bit of a brown hue to it. And then the other one has more of like a red hue to it, which is Single. And then the very last shade is right there, that's Skip. That is also what is on the back of my hand. All right, to show you the back of my hand really quick, this is the quadrant that I did the BH Cosmetics eyeshadow base in Bisque. The next one is Urban Decay. Then we have Shape Tape in Fair. And then that's just me, that's Skin. All right, I can put you back up here. Hi. So I'm gonna wait on wiping these off. Oh, I just scratched a swatch. It will. Aren't these pretty? Look at all the colors. Now, I did just grab the Jaclyn Hill palette too. Out of the ones that I bought from Morphe, which I was glad to see on the back, the names are there. So I'm gonna pull all of them out really quick. Did I just drop that one? Get back here, you runaway. All right, so first up we have, this is E50, oh, ES8. This is a honey baked. And since I have this part of my arm to use, I'm gonna use it. I'm gonna get the extra shadows off that I transferred up. Decoration. Now, this pan, when I looked at it, looked so stinking similar, and I'm just gonna set it in the eyeshadow next to it. And now that light is too bright. Go away. But Those look so similar, and the eyeshadow just kind of like fits in there. I thought it was close to this one, but I think it's similar to this one right here. So I'm going to go ahead and swatch Honey Baked and So Good. So you have Honey Baked here and So Good here. That might be easier if I do that on my hand. Let me switch fingers here. Okay, again, Honey Baked and So Good. Bless you. So Good is much lighter. Let me grab that last one, which is Wig. Yeah, it looks like it is, but... Okay, so there's Wig. So Good, and then Honey Baked. So this is like a more yellow toned, but they're all shimmers. So I think that'll be good to use with the shades in the palette. Let me clean off my fingers and my upper arm. And I'm going to wipe off my hand because I have a few more shades. Now, the next shade that I got doesn't match anything in the palette. So there's no point in like showing you that one and being like, oh, well, this is compared to this, because it's really not like anything in the palette. This is Glow For Me, that's ES5. I thought it was going to be more of like an orangey red shade, but it's more like a peach with an orange hue to it. And it's also a shimmer. So again, there's nothing in the palette that matches that. The next shade is called Wild Garden. And because I'm going to be working with some greens, I've got several green shades. I've got Wild Garden, Aloha, and Bam. So we have Wild Garden, Aloha, and Bam. These are like turquoise colors. This is more like a muted grass green. So I'm going to start with Wild Garden. And I'm going to put that right here. Then I'm going to go in with Aloha. There's a reason why I'm putting them where I'm putting them. Put that right next to it. Kind of like a pastel-y shade. And then last is Bam. And yeah, I'll wait to do that one. There is Bam. Let me decolor. Now there are 3 to 4 shades in here that look similar to those. And you might be able to mix shades in order to come up with them, but this was just something I observed. So in here you have Guac, Daddy, and Cape Cod, which I thought were similar. And I'm going to go ahead and grab Playground, and you'll understand why in a minute. Okay, so first we have Guac. Then the next one is, yeah, Daddy, Cape Cod, and then the last one is Playground. And you'll understand why I grabbed that in just a second. Let me decolor. I might even throw another shade in there, I don't know. This was the last color that I got, and this is called See Through My Eyes. This is ES46. This is like the shimmer version. playground. Oh, hello, I'm like stuck. I don't know why I'm stuck. Am I stuck for everybody? The time is still going, but I don't see anything. Okay, can you still see me? Am I still moving on your screen? Because on mine, I am not. Crap. Okay, let me end this and I will restart it really quick because I only have like one color left to do. That's kind of a bummer. And the screen is like frozen even if I try and like do anything, it's like, no, you can't do that. I've even like changed settings and stuff like that and it's not. All right, I'm gonna end it really quick and then start it back.